I've got the question today.
Oh, boy.
And I kind of made it fitness related.
Okay.
But what is something about fitness or nutrition or whatever you want that is overlooked because it's cliche, but you think it's really true and shouldn't be overlooked?
There's a bunch of stuff like that.
Just pick one.
No, I can't just
pick two.
One. I would say first and foremost, something that is very cliche that we don't want to talk about very much is the fact that fitness is truly individual. I think, especially in the United States, everything is a competition. We're so competitive, with your career. We use language of competition. Get ahead, make it to the finish line. All this stuff we use in career. We use it, just in general life, in school. And we use it in fitness, obviously, especially in competitive fitness, because, they are competitions at the end of the day. So CrossFit competitions, powerlifting, bodybuilding, anything like that. But at the end of the day, you are the only person in your body. So if you break fitness down to its granular level, which is improvement of self, that's what I believe fitness is at the end of the day, is improving your physical body. That is only you against you. And that is the most cliche thing that anybody ever says. And I've said it so many times.
Like you're only competing against yourself.
I feel like I put out a reel that ends with it's you against you every week. Because I put it out and then I see another thing that's like, oh, I'm so down in the dumps. My best friend, his PR is bigger than mine, or, my other friend has better glutes than I do. And
it's like, no.
It's just this cycle of like.
That doesn't matter.
Right, exactly. So I think that is a huge one. And it is so cliche that we've become kind of blind to it.
Yeah.
And I say we because I have also become blind to it.
Yeah.
You know what? A blessing was me just absolutely eating dirt in my first competition. Just absolutely failing. That was a blessing in disguise because it re-centered my focus. I went into that thing thinking, maybe I'm not going to win, but I'm going to do some damage. I'm going to, place, and I'm going to.
Yeah.
That's the wrong mentality to have, especially for your first competition.
Right.
So that refocused me completely, and it changed the way that I approach training. It changed the way that I post content. Like, I try to be very intentional with my content to never say or to never indicate like I'm chasing after somebody or somebody else is setting the standard for me. I set the standard for myself. And then if I beat what I set, then that's great. And I move on to the next goal. But no one is going to set a standard for me to meet. Nobody outside of, me is going to tell me how to work.
Yeah. So what you see other people doing in the gym doesn't set the standard for you.
Yeah.
You're setting it for yourself.
The thing about it too is like, it's not your local gym. It's what you see online.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Because I do think there's room in local gyms for like some healthy competition. You've got the board with like, usually you'll see a bunch of like squat records or bench press records or whatever. I think you should definitely train with stronger people than you because that motivates you to continue to work. But it's a knife's edge of like training with a stronger person while always focusing on your goals rather than training with a stronger person and saying, I'm not that strong. I'm a failure or I'm not reaching my potential.
Right. Letting stronger people motivate you rather than get you down. Yes.
And that's very powerful. But I think the problem is a lot of people tilt towards the negative side of that. Like I think in this case, social media can be very impactful because now the pond is a lot bigger. So if you realize there's always going to be somebody stronger than you, then you can look at it for what it is and say, wow, first of all, that's awesome that humans can get to this point. Like I look at somebody like Jesus Oliveras, who is insanely strong. He's like 23, set multiple world records for total, squat, all that jazz. And just to think like that is insane that the human body can get to that point. We didn't know that this was going to be possible. Squatted 1,000 pounds, he's pushing the squat record.
Right.
There was a time where it was like, maybe humans are just going to get capped at a certain weight and we just can't do it. So that should be impactful for you to say, okay, I may never reach that point, but I can push myself, So, I guess it's all about the mindset that you take away from looking at these examples of pure strength. And I learned pretty quickly, I've never really been the best at anything, but I've been very good at a lot of things. So I've learned very quickly to not compare myself to the best of the best in a specific thing, but understand like, that's really cool. It's possible. I can continue to push myself.
I like that.
There was another one I had, but I don't remember.
That's okay.
I can't ask you that question.
No. You don't have to ask me a question.
But it's usually a back and forth question.
Yeah, but I just wanted to ask you that question.
Well, how's your day going then?
It's going great.
Yeah, you've been off work.
I took 2 days off of work.
Which is just fantastic.
Unbelievable.
I know.
Yeah, I've gotten to just kind of do my own thing and relax for the last 2 days. I really have enjoyed it. I've gotten to do all of the grandma things that I love.
Yeah. I'm very surprised because you're just not someone who takes time off.
Not usually.
I think that it's good that you're doing this, and I hope that this becomes kind of part of your regular routine.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool.
I had some PTO to burn.
Yeah.
And my manager told me pick a day, any day, pick 2 days, any 2 days, and also some more than that because you will lose it.
Right.
You got to pick some days. And so I just kind of like closed my eyes and pointed at the calendar and picked these 2 days. And it's been really great. Lovely. Yeah.
I haven't had that much work these past couple of days too, so we've got to spend a lot of time together, which has been nice.
Yes, like in the mornings I've gone out and used up a old restaurant gift card I forgot I had and had some really good food.
Okay, this is interesting. We can take this to fitness because I get this question a lot. How do I, as the spouse or the significant other of someone who is in a diet phase, in a cut, how can I support them, but also like still live my life and eat the foods that I want to eat.
Go out to eat by yourself.
So that's a great point. Yeah. And
I've never had a problem going out by myself. Some people feel very upset.
No, that is a superpower. Being able to cultivate spending time by yourself and doing activities that you like by yourself is powerful.
Brought a book.
Yeah.
Ate some pancakes.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I wish I could eat some pancakes.
Well, and I have had some gift cards, and the reason I hadn't used them was because they were for places that maybe you didn't like, or you've been on the diet, so we never could use them. So I've had some of these for like a year.
Yeah.
Or probably more, some of them. So
it's good that you got to use them.
Yeah, over the weekend, I like checked to make sure they still actually had a balance.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, I'm using up this gift card today. Yeah. So I went to like First Watch this morning. I had a $30 gift card, so I had a $30 breakfast.
I hate First Watch. It's good that you went by yourself.
Well, and I did enough math that I made sure that there would be a 20% tip just on the gift card. So I was like so stoked about that. You could have
paid out of pocket for the tip.
I know, but like their food's pretty reasonably priced, so it was a challenge for me to eat $30 worth of food.
Was it?
Yeah, I brought a pancake home.
Oh no, you didn't. You shouldn't have told me that.
I did. It's my breakfast tomorrow. You may not have it. Man. You said you wouldn't like it. I told you what it was. You said you wouldn't like it.
Yeah, but at this point in my diet, it could be whatever,
I would,
dude. It's like a ticking time bomb now in the fridge. I'm going to be thinking about.
It's not in there.
Where did you hide it?
I didn't hide it. It's in plain sight. You didn't see it?
Oh, I didn't. No, you didn't put it in the fridge.
Yes, I did.
Oh, why did you just say it's not in there then?
I said it was in there.
Oh, I'm getting gaslit. We got the tape. We can roll this back.
I'm pretty sure I said it was in there.
I thought you said it's not in there. It's not in there. No, it's in there. Folks.
It's in there. I'm eating it tomorrow
Comment
morning.
Down below. She said it's not in there.
If I did, I'm very sorry. I think you might have misheard me.
I'm being gaslit. This is how you deal with a significant other who's on a diet. You lie to them and you don't tell them when
I've hidden ice cream in the fridge.
Oh yeah, she hides it. Or
in the freezer, I mean.
And don't get me wrong. I want her to do this. You usually don't know it's there. I want you to do that.
Yeah.
Because this idea, this willpower is a freaking myth, dude. This idea that you can just have unlimited resources of willpower. A really interesting book. I think I have it.
I think we all have willpower about different things.
Yeah, but even then, they did a ton of studies. Willpower is like a finite resource. It's not infinite. Mm-hmm. At a certain point, you run out.
Really?
So yes. What the hell is the name of this book? If I figure, I'll put in the pinned comments if I remember what it is.
Okay.
Menno Henselman is the name of the author.
All right.
And he's done a lot of work specifically in the fitness space, nutrition and stuff, dieting, about like at the end of the day, when you've used a lot of the willpower to be a good coworker or to get a lot of work done, or even it crosses niches. So you could run out of willpower at work and you don't have a willpower well for food choice. It's just gone. So you come home, and if you have that stuff in your house,
you're just gonna,
9 times out of 10, you're going to reach for the Haagen-Dazs instead of the salad.
Right.
You know what I mean? That is like a real thing that they've tested.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're pretty careful about only having stuff in the house that you can eat. Or I'm very specific with buying snacks for myself that you don't like.
Yeah.
You have discovered a lot of things that you do like
this
because
is the thing.
of me doing that.
When I'm on a diet, I will eat anything and everything.
And you'll try to be like, oh, this is pretty good.
Exactly. So it's like, and
then that's another thing that I can never buy for myself ever again.
Another thing on the willpower thing, obviously, yes, there are people with higher levels of willpower. And I think those people, do better on a very restrictive diet.
Yeah.
And living with other people who may not be on a very restrictive diet. Like if you're living with a bunch of roommates, you don't really have control over the food that they buy. Hopefully you're not eating your roommate's food.
Yeah.
Let's fingers crossed on that.
Yeah,
Just
don't eat your roommate's
be
food.
a normal human and don't steal your roommate's food. But understanding like where your real triggers are. Like for me, if you buy a bunch of nuts, that's never like I'm never going to get to that point where I'm going to be tempted by that.
And I do buy nuts a lot.
Right, because that's a snack that you like that I just cannot stand.
Yeah.
But as the diet goes forward, there are things where if you came home with like a flavor of potato chip that I didn't love, just the fact that it was a potato chip at that point, like 10 weeks into a diet, I would still be like, whoa, okay, let's go for it. You know?
I've really enjoyed going out though, because I've been getting very tired of your diet in the last few days.
It is such a blessing that you are willing to be as restricted as you are.
So for me, I think it's really a laziness thing.
You don't want to make
I am not going to cook myself a different dinner.
Yeah.
If like, sometimes I will make myself eggs instead of the chicken.
Yeah.
Eggs are very easy to cook and take almost no effort, and they take about 2 minutes.
Yeah.
So I do that, but like I'm not going to cook myself a whole different thing just because I'm I would rather just
eat the chicken again.
I would rather just eat the chicken again. And I don't mind. And so I've had a break. I've gone out and had stuff that you don't like that I have really enjoyed. I've almost finished a book that I started yesterday.
Man, she's insane.
It's a very quick and easy book. But I've really enjoyed it. And
that's good.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Gone to some shops that I like, and
man, you've been living the
library
life
for a while.
Yeah, you just went. Basically, it's just book related.
Mostly, yeah.
Be on the lookout for when Sarah starts her book and crochet YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah. I posted a reel yesterday.
She's back on Instagram.
I've made my triumphant return.
You got to follow her.
Instagram after 5 years.
And we're going to make it consistent,
silence.
Right? Consistent Instagram posts.
I know. I need to go back through all of our pictures from the last 5 years and like.
You're going to post pictures of us?
Well, no, of like the things that I didn't post on Instagram, but like. I got a master's degree. Like we've gone to some cool, like I saw the Grand Canyon.
We have done a lot of stuff that you just were like, I'm keeping this for myself. That's fine, man.
I feel like I should post like, here's what you post
missed
over the last 5 years. Here are the highlights.
I don't know.
Like, I don't know. Your sister got married. Like my sister got a doctorate degree.
Yeah.
Like a lot has happened
Your
since
sister got
2017.
A dog?
My sister did get a very cute dog.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff has happened since Hurricane Irma rolled through in 2017.
My brother graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Man.
He's about to graduate from college. But
Yeah,
I was thinking like, man, I really should do a quick little recap.
I think you should just fully engage in the influencer lifestyle and just go full into I am a crochet and knitting person. I only
post about yarn now?
Yes.
Okay.
And just steer into the skid, because selfishly, if you take off, then I can drift on your coattails.
Oh, yeah.
And then our fitness business and crochet business can go through the roof.
Oh, yeah, man.
We're going to be making millions.
Well, everybody was very kind to me yesterday. I really appreciated it.
It was a good reel.
Yeah, but
you had a great idea. The execution was good.
But everybody was very kind. Everybody said very nice things in the comments.
I guess what I'm trying to say is they weren't lying to you. Like, did you think they were just lying or being nice?
I don't think anybody should ever feel obligated to comment on anybody's post, no matter how great it is. I don't know.
Social media is so weird.
I'm always surprised when anybody notices me or likes anything that I do.
You just love to be in the background.
I love to be forgotten about.
Well, that's dumb. But I think for social media can be weird, especially if you are someone who basically just follows their friends and their friends follow you. Mm-hmm. It's like you would tell your friends, hey, I made this cool sweater.
I've already told all my friends.
Exactly.
Everybody who's like all of our friends who saw the reel, they already
saw the sweater.
Had seen the sweater.
But I'm saying the presentation of the transition between this is the yarn to this is the sweater was very well done.
Well, thank you very much.
To the point that just because it's not just showing off the sweater, it's showing off like your labor, how hard, even that transition of like yarn to sweater, most people are like, oh, I don't know how to do that. So that's impressive to people. Yeah. People love before and afters. They love it.
Yeah.
Like one of my most popular posts is my weight loss. Always. They want to see this. There's this lady on Instagram who lost like 150 pounds.
Wow.
And it's incredible to see the differences between her before and after. That stuff does numbers on Instagram.
Yeah.
Like, because it should. It's cool.
Yeah.
And I think everybody knows how hard it is to do something, to start with a raw product, whether that's yarn or your body or wood or whatever, and take it to a finished product. Even if you don't know, like I don't know how to knit, but I know how hard it is to make a change or to make something, you know, with filmmaking or whatever. So that's really cool. And that resonates with every human being. Yeah. I think we all have creativity in us in some way.
Absolutely.
So I don't know. I think you should post more of it. You're good at it.
Well, thank you. I enjoy it. So.
And I can edit all of it. So it's totally fine.
So far, you've edited everything I've ever posted.
Yeah. And that was one thing.
Yes. 100% of it.
So follow her on Instagram. She's
if you want to.
It might be another 8 years before you post again. Let's try and get it down. So maybe
hopefully not. Maybe once a month.
Oh yeah, there you go. Once a month.
I'll
That's
go for once a month. That'll be my goal.
Oh man.
1 10-second reel a month. I think I can maybe manage that.
Once a week.
Oh.
You could do that.
It takes a long time to make
stuff.
Anything.
Yes, that's definitely true. But I think you have such a backlog of stuff.
That's true. I've been doing this for a while.
Like you've made 15 pieces by this point? All combined? I mean, you've given away a lot of stuff.
I've given away a
lot
of stuff
anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But you
I have
at
a lot
least
of stuff
15 things.
Easily,
right? So, there's a bunch of backlog that you can make.
That's true.
It's up to you. I'm not forcing you to do anything, but I do think that you.
No, I enjoy seeing what other people post that they've created.
Yeah.
So
it's the same type of thing.
Yeah. Just putting it out there.
Yeah. Good for you.
It's, I think I've said this before. I'm not somebody who's like cool.
You are cool.
I feel confident in myself, right? I like what I like, and it's not things that are like trendy or cool usually. But you've stumbled upon something that's massive at the moment. It doesn't feel it's a pretty niche thing.
I don't know. I feel like everywhere I go, there's some type of crochet or knitting.
Crochet is a pretty popular thing in fashion right now, I guess. Yeah. But I don't know. It just feels like kind of funny for people who I haven't spoken to since college to like see me knitting a sweater. It's just kind of weird, but I don't care. I really enjoy it. So
I think that's one of the most powerful things about growing up is just like, one day you wake up and you're like, I don't care what other people think about me.
It's like, I like this.
You know what I mean?
I don't care.
Like I used to be so captured by the opinions of other people when I was a teenager or early college,
right?
To the point where I would like change who I was.
Yeah.
And I think everybody goes through some version of that. But as you get older, you realize like, it doesn't matter.
Like, I like this. I'm going to do it.
2, life is just way too short to not do the things that bring you joy and fulfillment because they're not cool or they don't fit in. Yeah. You know?
Well, I've always done the things that I liked, but I used to be a lot more embarrassed about it, I think.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's not that, like, I always did the things that I liked, but you would kind of hide it, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that's the more tame side of it. I think there's a lot of people that just get kind of not bullied out of it, but you know, they get kind of shamed out of not doing the things that they like to do, you know?
I think you're right.
Well, just do the things that you like to do.
Yeah.
Life's too short, man.
Yeah. If it brings you joy.
And it's not hurting anybody else, go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Why not?
Go for it.
Yeah. Have fun.
Let's do a little fitness.
Okay.
We're bringing it back to the roots. I am tired today. Stop me if you've heard that before, because I've been tired for a long time. Today, what I want to talk about is utilizing a reactive deload. Are you familiar with the term?
I know when a deload is when you don't go to the gym for a week.
Well, you can go. You just reduce, reduce your volume, reduce your intensity.
But I don't know what a reactive deload is.
So, the idea behind a reactive deload, there were programs made where you do 4 weeks of training and then you would have a programmed deload at the 5th week or the 7th week or the 3rd week. Regardless, it was programmed in. Mm-hmm. These work pretty well, except if you get to that 4th week and you're still feeling great. Mm-hmm. Numbers are moving, energy is good. Why would you stop? So a lot of coaches have moved towards kind of a reaction-based deload. With a lot of my clients, I will program deloads, but I do that based on their past experience. Mm-hmm. So with one of my powerlifters, you know, we drove her into the ground for like 8 weeks. And she was like, I needed a break like 2 weeks ago. And then we found like 6 weeks is usually the max we can go if she's training hard. And then she's going to need a deload. For me, I'm very similar. I'm usually 6 weeks, maybe 8 weeks if the first couple of weeks were a little bit lighter. Mm-hmm. Anyway, a reactive deload can be very, very powerful because that way you know, or if you do it well, you know that you're not stopping when there's still some meat on the bone in terms of adaptation, and your fatigue is not going to crush. Let's define the reason that you do a deload, because I think that's important.
Yeah.
You do a deload because every time you go into the gym and you present stimulus, you are not just getting adaptation, you are also getting fatigue. Mm-hmm. Right? So at a base level, you go in, you do your workout, you get adaptation, that's in the plus category, and you get fatigue, that's in the negative category.
Yeah.
At a certain point, because training is progressive and you're going for, you know, if you're training for a goal, you're going day after day, week after week, the gap between those two narrows and the fatigue may cross over top of the adaptation. Mm-hmm. And at that point, you're just spinning your wheels. You're not growing muscle. You're not getting stronger.
You feel terrible.
Exactly. So at that point, or honestly, before that point, you want to take a week of training in which you reduce volume, you reduce intensity, or you can take the whole week off. That's not great because you can feel really rusty when you get back in. But you go in, reduce the volume, reduce the intensity. That allows more systemic fatigue to kind of drop off while still maintaining, you know, some technical work, all that type of stuff. So that's why you would deload. A reactive deload is, let's say you finished like week 4 and you go into week 5 and the first training day of week 5 is really, really tough. Oh man, that was really hard. The weight may not be moving as well as you wanted to. Everything felt really heavy. Second day, same type of thing. Those are indicators of maybe you need a reactive deload. So all that to say, the definitions, we've defined our terms. What I want to give you guys is a checklist for when it might be time for a reactive deload. Does everything I've said make sense so far?
Yes, it does.
You look like a deer in the headlights.
No, I'm just taking it all in.
Okay.
It makes sense, but I'm solidifying it.
Okay. I just want to make sure that for everybody watching who may not be familiar. So a checklist for a reactive deload. First and foremost, we're going to go in terms of scope of time. I always say 1 time could be an aberration. 2 times could be the beginning of a pattern. So what I mean by that is if 1 training day goes poorly, and what I mean by goes poorly is you miss reps, you miss weight, you miss a prescribed weight. Say you're running off of a percentage program and it's 70% of your 1 rep max and you cannot do that day. or you cut sets off and you just leave. That is a bad training day. A bad training day is not, wow, everything was really hard today. You know?
Yeah. It's supposed to be hard.
Yeah. So sometimes you're just going to be tired. So you have one bad training day. That is still not enough, in my opinion, to say, okay, it's time to shut it down.
Right. Maybe you just slept poorly. You didn't eat right.
Exactly.
You were stressed at work.
There's a ton of different factors.
You just had a bad day.
In a one-time aberration. However, if that then happens again in your next training day, especially if you've had a break in between, a rest day in between, then all of your senses should turn on towards,
ooh, I need to pay attention to this.
Right. Do I need a deload?
Yeah.
Again, you may not need one right away. Because it's hard, and you learn this more with experience. I would say if you're a newer lifter, you don't really have to worry about this as much. This is more for the intermediates to advanced when you start to
really push it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I would do in that case, 2 back-to-back training days, what I might do is instead of a full deload, just take a couple light training days. So you go in and maybe you cut your volume in half for the next 2 days. And then if you come back in the next week and everything's good, you're back to normal, cool. You staved it off, you're good to go. You could probably go for another 2 or 3 weeks before needing a deload. But always keep in the back of your minds, okay, we had to put an intervention out. Could mean that a deload is coming.
Yeah.
Now this is specifically for off-season work, meaning you're not in a competition prep, because if you're in a competition prep and you
can't really stop,
you don't really have the time.
Yeah.
You've done something incorrectly to get to that point.
Yeah.
Your programming wasn't done intelligently enough. You're in trouble. You got to really try and figure out what you can do to salvage the situation.
Yeah.
However, if after the lighter sessions you come back in and you get 2 more bad days, shut it down. Deload. Like that reactive deload, a full week, 7 days, or, basically whatever your training week is, do that week with reduced intensity, reduced volume, then restart from a lower volume threshold for basically start a new block of training. The reason I'm talking about this is today and yesterday, I had really, really hard sessions. Yesterday, I missed my last set. I was programmed to do 6 sets of 4 on my squat, and I only got 2 reps on my last set.
Okay.
So that qualifies me for, okay, I missed sets or I missed reps. So my indicators are going off. I went in today, was bench press, back-to-back days. Yes, it felt incredibly heavy, but I hit a new PR on my AMRAP.
And you didn't miss any reps.
I didn't miss any reps on my volume, and I hit. So that is an indicator. Now, when I go into deadlift, which is another lower body day on Thursday, I will be paying attention to, because maybe it was just upper body feels good, lower body feels like garbage. That could still be a sign that a deload could be necessary. But I just came off of a deload. I was
going to say, didn't you just deload?
So in my mind, with the context of everything that's going on, what I think is happening to me is I'm going into my 8th week of a deficit. I think that deficit is starting to catch up with me.
Yeah.
Just because you are big like me and have a lot of weight to lose does not mean that you can get away with not experiencing any of the issues that a deficit brings.
Right. You're still not eating as much.
Regardless of how much weight, right, you're still in a deficit. And that deficit will at some point come with a cost.
Right.
So I think that's what's happening to me.
Right.
I feel like I maybe got a little bit too
I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And especially what you said about the deficit, even though you have weight to lose, it's like you're doing a very high level physical activity. So like you have weight to lose. You won't wither away because of this cut.
Yeah.
But can you perform at the highest level?
Not really.
There is a bit of a hindrance there.
And what's so funny is I just recorded a video about pre-workout nutrition, because I think, especially on a cut, pre-workout nutrition can really help stave off some of that fatigue. If you are adequately carbo loading beforehand, if you're covering your bases of protein so that you're not really losing any muscle protein synthesis. It sucks because we don't have any great at-home consumer indicators of body fat percentage.
Yeah.
That would make things a lot easier, because then you could look at the scale and know, okay, I'm losing body fat, I'm not losing muscle.
What do you think is the easiest way? Like, is doing your own waist to hip ratios?
I would say, honestly, this is pretty controversial, but I think if you take a lot of bioelectrical impedance measurements, so a lot like that includes the scales that are not very accurate, but they are reliable.
The scales that measure your body fat percentage?
Right, yes. Okay. So they're not going to be accurate, meaning it could read out 27% and you could actually be 23% or 34%.
But they're reliable within themselves.
Exactly. If that is your one measure of body fat and you notice a trend of body fat going down or up, they're usually reliable in that way.
The number is probably wrong. The trend that you're seeing is probably accurate.
Exactly. But the unfortunate thing is so many people are afraid, maybe for good reason, maybe they've dealt with eating disorders in the past, they're afraid of these numbers. Mm-hmm. I think it's very powerful to remove the emotion from them because you need objective data. Mm-hmm. In a lot of cases. 9 times out of 10. There may be somebody out there who does everything incredibly well subjectively. That is not me. Yeah. And in my experience, that is not a lot of people in this space, bodybuilding or powerlifting or CrossFit even. So what is talking about? Body fat, right? So what I would do is at the same time, every day for, 2 months, track your body fat percentage. Not without having had any intervention in terms of like weight loss, weight gain, just at a maintenance level so that you can start to see trends in your body fat, how they change based on how hydrated you are. That way, you have that data for when you do want to make a body composition change. Then you can relatively know if you are actually losing body fat or if your deficit is too deep and you're just shedding muscle. Because that is definitely a thing that can happen. Mm-hmm. And that's the last thing you want to do in any case.
Right, that's the opposite of what you're trying to do.
Right, exactly. We want to preserve as much lean tissue as possible during a deficit.
Right, exactly.
So I think that, but it's unfortunate that we don't have anything super accurate.
I think in general, when people want to lose weight, they want to lose fat. Like they say, I want to lose weight, but they mean they want to lose fat. But I think what a lot of people don't realize is when you cut too far, you're not just losing fat, you're also losing good stuff that you would want to keep.
When you cut too far and when you cut too fast.
Yeah.
Usually you're going to run into an issue where you're losing a lot of that lean tissue that you actually want to keep.
Right.
Because nobody wants to be 110 pounds and looking like a skeleton. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you want to have, like if you are dieting purely for body image reasons, the body that you want is probably pretty muscular.
Mm-hmm. Not like, but
for some people, right.
Yeah, but just for the average person,
right?
Like you don't, like you said, you don't want to look emaciated.
Exactly.
You want to look like a healthy, fit person.
I think one of the issues with like body image is we see bodybuilders for either gender, right? Like, but we never see like the normal. Mm-hmm. I say normal in quotes. There is no, normal.
Average, maybe.
Leave me alone. The normal person who's like a male who's like 22% body fat, but decently muscular, or a female who's like, 30, 29% body
right.
fat.
I think you either see people who have no muscle or who are like jacked. And and I think this happens a lot with women.
Oh yeah.
It's like you think that the second you touch a free weight, like a 10-pound free weight, you're going to like look like a female bodybuilder. You're not.
You're not.
That takes so much work to like these incredible athletes.
The majority of women who touch resistance training will never come close to looking like that.
No.
Right.
Like you're just going to look really good and then feel good.
Exactly.
Like you're not going to step on stage at the women's like Olympia.
Yeah, no. Just because you picked up some 10-pound dumbbells. Like
no.
that myth needs to die.
Yeah, but like the only thing we see is like women in the gym who are like, and it's like, oh, I like that's not my vibe.
Or the opposite, like incredibly thin.
Yeah.
Like incredibly thin, which they could be manipulating their water intake for whatever that, we got a lot of problems with presentation of bodies in this world.
Yeah. I think it would be nice to see more just like regular people in the gym.
Yeah. Because that's the thing. You can get swept up in this body positivity movement and say, you can, at whatever body fat percentage, I won't have any issues. I won't have any risk for metabolic disorder, which is factually untrue.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you can recognize that the body positivity movement has some incredible truth to it.
Yeah.
Because yes, there is a broad spectrum of health in body fat percentage, in presentation of that body fat, you know? So you
Absolutely.
the big thing, you see these still in 2023, these burn belly fat workouts or these tone thighs.
God. It's like, do we not know enough to know that that is BS?
That is not real.
Yeah, no, it's not.
You can't spot reduce fat. It's not possible.
Yeah, it's like, are we still in the 80s?
Dude,
like,
I honestly
like
thought that was
so
going to be one that was going to die.
Yeah, or I mean, you'll see like in the checkout line at the grocery store, like those Women's World magazines of like, endocrinologists say, eat this one fruit and drop 32 pounds of belly fat. It's like, are people really falling for this?
Horse manure.
Like eating one lychee a day isn't gonna like.
I think people don't understand the complexity of your physiology and your biology. Like the human system is complex. So always be wary of these things that are like these one fix thing.
I changed this one thing. No, you didn't.
Most of the time, you're not going to change one thing and reach a positive outcome.
Or change one thing and have a hyper-specific result.
You may be able to change one thing and have an incredibly negative, like if you start taking arsenic, you're going to die, right? But you're not going to get, like, there is nothing on this earth that's going to get you these insane positive results.
There's no one exercise,
legal.
There's no one food that you can eat or not eat that's going to cause you to, like, you know,
drop
eliminate your cellulite or have a 6-pack of abs or whatever it is.
Right.
It's not possible.
Yeah.
It's just not true.
I know. I wonder, I can get very caught up in the fact that, like, my circle is very small. The people that I follow on Instagram are very like-minded. I try and introduce myself to other opinions on training and on diet and nutrition and all that. But I can start to think everybody knows the basics because in my circle, the basics are overly covered. But the general population really does not get the basics of thermodynamics, of calories, of protein, carbohydrates, fats, how impactful the macronutrients are, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Mineral absorption and, like, I don't know. I don't know how to mass educate people like that.
There's just not a lot of education, like general education for everyone about those sorts of things. And I mean, I think the more people that are putting content out there about the basics, the more likely it is to find a wider reach of people.
Yeah, but the issue is at the same time, there's a lot of charlatans and there's a lot of people that are just trying to make a quick buck by selling you, or there's this huge movement of the demonization of all foods in a grocery store. Nothing pushes my buttons more than these shirtless clowns in the grocery store grabbing a pack of Fritos and being like, this has red dye 12 and red dye 12 was linked to cancer in rats. It's like, dude, I'm not a rat. But like, show me some human trials or some actual evidence, man.
And I saw a video recently of somebody like poking holes in a specific creator's videos, and it's like, you should not eat this. It has so much
sucralose or stevia or something, right? The
something
artificial
like
sweetener.
that.
I think I saw the same video.
It had a couple of different, like, you shouldn't eat this. It has agave syrup in it.
But
you
then they went to the next video.
But then it's like, my daughter loves this, and it's sweetened with just a little bit of agave. So it's like, okay, no agave.
Yeah.
Unless it's in this one thing.
Yeah, I saw the same video.
And it was like that, but with like 5 different ingredients. Yeah. And it's like, we're just making this up. It's just to get views. I mean, we should.
Absolutely.
I think it's very clear that you should try to eat whole foods. Right. Try and limit your processed foods as much as you can. Right. But it's okay to eat a Dorito with some red dye 12 in it sometimes. I mean, it's unless you're allergic to that, in which case, please don't. But, you know, it's you have to balance it out.
One of the best creators on Instagram that calls a lot of this stuff out, BioLane. Lane Norton is his name, but the BioLane is, I think, his company. and he does a lot of this stuff, BS Fridays and whatever, where he, just tears these things to shreds.
Yeah.
But he always says, and I'm sure he didn't make this up, I've heard this before, but his main thing is the dose makes the poison. Mm-hmm. So these people in the grocery store that like pull something off the shelf and say, this is a carcinogen, or this is linked to X and Y and Z and metabolic disorder and all that, in the percentage that it is in the food, you would have to consume millions of units of this food.
I think it's the same phenomenon of I'm starting a new job and having a drug test tomorrow. Should I not eat a poppy seed bagel?
Right.
It's like, you can have one, just don't eat 1,000 poppy seed bagels.
Exactly.
Right? Don't eat 6 dozen poppy seed bagels. That might cause you maybe a 1 in a million chance to test positive
for heroin.
But you can have one poppy seed bagel. It's not going to alter your body chemistry so much that you're going to test positive for a drug test.
That's the thing. I just think it might be a basic misunderstanding of biology and like how resilient the human body is to a lot of this stuff. Mm-hmm. Like usually 1 dose things are not going to kill you unless they're outright poison.
Right.
Right. And we throw these words like poison around. Like I hear this all the time. Oh, this is poisonous. This is cancerous. This is carcinogenic. And like, okay, in a certain study,
like to what extent? How sure are we? What do we really know?
This aspartame thing that came out a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Oh my God! You want to talk about the sensationalism of a study that really did not say what people were saying that it said? Mm-hmm. Like that's insanity.
Yeah.
But that's what gets clicks.
Like, is aspartame healthy for you?
Probably
I doubt it.
Probably not.
Can you still have a Diet Coke every now and then?
Absolutely.
Far be it for me to tell you not to.
You can probably have it more frequently than you think.
Yeah.
Like this study that came out really does not say what the contemporary news headline said that it's because that's
what the news headlines do is they take just a snippet from a study and they turn it into a headline.
Yep, exactly. A great book on this. We had to read this. So in college, in senior year of college, I was done with my major. So I just had to take a bunch of liberal arts classes.
Yeah, you took all the freshman classes.
So I took all the freshman classes, and one of them was the scientific method. Oh boy. You want to talk about the easiest class of my life. But we read a book in there called Bad Science, I think was what it was called. But it's basically like the concept of like, you cannot take one study and extrapolate that out to a enormous human population, specifically an animal study, which is where a lot of our nutrition information comes from, because it is unethical to give humans the amount of compound that they are giving to create the cancer in the rats.
Right.
It's not ethical.
They didn't give somebody enough aspartame to do that.
Create a tumor in a human being, right? So I think it's called Bad Science. I would really recommend you read it. It kind of takes you through a layman's view of how to read studies, how to understand how studies get funded. First of all, that's incredibly important. Who's funding the study?
That is not talked about enough.
Who has a vested interest, a monetary interest in the study? What population was the study done on? If I read a study that was done on 50-year-old women, I'm going to take that with a grain of salt.
For yourself.
For myself, because I don't fall into that demographic.
You might tell your mom about it.
Exactly. And it may impact my life, but it also may not impact my life in the same way that it impacted these 50 women in New England.
It might impact your life to a lesser degree.
Right. But we hear this, the deification of scientists, and it's like, dude.
Yeah.
No.
Well, and I think what a lot of people don't really think about with science and the scientific method is like you never come to a firm answer forever.
Exactly.
Right?
That's what science is.
Right. Science is always asking questions.
The testing and retesting of.
Right. This is the best of our knowledge right now.
Right.
Which is not to say that we won't develop this knowledge further or possibly disprove this knowledge at some point in the future.
Absolutely.
That's how I think people don't think this. Like, oh, science found out this.
Right.
And now this is what we know.
What do you mean by science? Like follow the science. But what are we talking about?
Right. Science is always evolving. There's always new people asking new questions and new ways, designing methodologies for new studies.
And I think...
And that's so important. We're always developing our knowledge as a species, but we can't just take one study and one headline as the truth forever. There's a lot we still don't know.
And that is true in sciences that have been around for a long time, like biology. Mm-hmm. And that is absolutely true in newer sciences, like the science of nutrition.
Yeah.
I cannot express how new the science of nutrition is.
Mm-hmm. And how limited it is, like you said, by the ethics of not giving humans cancer on purpose.
Unfortunately, biology benefited from the fact that you could do some draconian experiments early on.
Even psychology benefited
Same
from this.
thing. We know so much about the brain because of unethical studies.
Studies that we look back on in horror.
But we did gain knowledge
we learned
from
some
them.
stuff.
Nutrition never really had that moment.
And thank God it didn't, because you could really give people
you could mess some
physical
people up
disease.
for sure. Obviously. But we're just hamstrung. Like, we're never going to know.
There's only so much certainty you can have with the science that they're able to do.
But I think what is great about nutrition is you can do observational studies, but those are not very strong in their evidence base because people misreport what they're eating. You know, they just don't follow the plan at all. There's a ton of different issues. But there's some great, this is not to like dump on nutrition scientists. They're doing good work. They're trying to figure it out. But at the end of the day, we know, like what you said, the whole food based, like following diets that have gotten humanity to where we are now usually is the way.
Yeah. Well, and I think we talk a lot about the limitations of the research. Any good research study is going to report its own limitations.
Oh, yeah.
That is a section of it. So it's not like we're ragging on scientists.
They're not lying to you. They tell you.
Right. They report what they found, their conclusions, and their limitations.
And they say, hey, listen, this was on a small 12-person, whatever.
Yes, any good study will say that exact quote. Like, this was done with a small sample size of a very specific group of people.
Yep.
So it might not generalize to other populations.
Right.
Any good study will say that.
But nobody knows how to read a study.
Nobody reads the limitations because it's at the very end.
The other problem, too, is like nobody has access to it because it's usually very behind a paywall.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. Like, why was this the thing?
Yeah.
The only time that you can access these incredible studies is in college when you have a free PubMed or a free, what was the one we used?
I don't remember.
We had you could look up any research paper through the library and you could access it.
Yeah.
That was fantastic.
So here's something that I learned in grad school, actually. The researchers are always, like the authors are always listed, oftentimes with the institutions at which they practice.
Yeah.
Email them.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of times they will send it to you for free.
That's true. That's true. I have
if
heard
there's
that.
a study that you really want to, and sometimes they'll say no, but it never hurts to say like, hey, I'm a personal trainer and a nutrition coach. I'm so interested in the abstract of your study.
Can I read the full text?
I would love to read it and discuss with you.
Just think about your own jobs and how much politics and how much behind the scenes and how much, just people not liking each other goes into your job. That is the same thing that happens in a scientific lab. We think that it's this thing on TV where people got goggles and a white coat on.
And they find the truth.
And they find the truth, right? No, they're human beings.
You can never get rid completely of human bias.
Absolutely.
Never.
So when you see these just absolute charlatans just screaming at you about the next thing that's going to kill you or give you cancer or is, just...
Well,
don't listen.
I think the reality is we're not pioneers living on our own homesteads, growing all of our own food, pesticide free anymore.
Right.
Part of the social construct that we have right now is that we live in cities with processed foods that we didn't grow ourselves and we don't know how they were prepared or where they came from.
That's true.
If you would like to live on a homestead, you may do that.
Like I talked about, they have a company that'll do it for you.
There's a lot of people that do that, and that's awesome. I think that's great. I would love to do that in a different version of my life. That is not the life that we are living.
That's the thing is there's always a motive to make people feel bad. Like a lot of these people are paid directly from companies that are touted as naturalist or this is a natural product. So of course they're going to drum up business by scaremongering people so that you're driven to the natural option, which is usually 10 times more expensive and is not that much better for you than the stuff that's in the grocery store.
Yeah. And you don't have to pay anybody to put natural on your product packaging.
Don't open this can.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
No, you can literally.
All you have to do is put it on the mock-up.
There's no FDA oversight.
No.
You can just say that. You can just do that.
Yeah.
Like, and marketing people are incredibly intelligent.
Mm-hmm.
They study this stuff. They know that the cow on the pasture versus the cartoon cow is going to appeal to a certain granola crowd over a certain,
Mm-hmm.
So
versus kids. If they want to sell to kids, they're going to do a cartoon.
So you're going to be able to upcharge that $2 because it's natural and new or it's whole and all these buzzwords that we hear.
Yeah. Any label on a package can be made up.
Yeah.
This is even true with like dietary restrictions.
Yeah. Like
kosher
or
and halal,
gluten-free. Yeah.
I saw a hilarious picture recently on the internet, and it was in a grocery store. It was like the store had packaged it was like barbecue pork ribs or something, and it said kosher on it. Like anybody
Absolutely
who knows
not.
anything about kosher laws or really any religious law is that they don't eat pork.
Yeah, right.
There is no kosher barbecue pork ribs. It is not possible.
Not possible.
And you can just say, like, I say that as a very extreme example to say, like, you can just put
it on anything.
whatever you want on your packaging. Nobody's going to put you in jail for it.
Oh, man.
And a lot of people are just going to believe it.
Right. I think what makes me upset is it's hard enough to make good nutritional choices in the context of
in the context of everybody's telling the truth about their products, it's hard.
Even when you're taking everybody at face value.
In a world that doesn't exist where everybody's being honest and truthful, it's still incredibly hard.
So then for people to demonize a bunch of because unfortunately at the end of the day, a lot of the stuff they demonize is stuff that's cheap, that a lot of
accessible.
A lot of families can only afford this. So God forbid you tell a mother of 4, don't feed your kids this red dye because they're going to have cancer. It's like they don't have another option.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tough deal. There's a lot of nuance. Man, wow.
You owe me a soda. Oh, not a soda.
We're not allowed.
It's not healthy. It's going to kill us.
Can't drink a regular soda. It's got too much sugar. Can't drink a diet soda. It's got aspartame in it. You know what? Just water. Just drink water.
Boring.
Sparkling water.
Oh.
Man, speaking of water, I got to drink something. I'm so tired. I hit a wall like halfway through that deload discussion where I was just like, am I still making sense? I don't know what I'm saying. Is any of this registering? I think we're going to lose a lot of people at that section of the podcast. I want to get specific with this stuff, because I think that's what's the most valuable.
Yeah.
But I do understand it's a little dry. It's hard to, pay attention to, but
I think if it's something that somebody's really interested in, it will not be dry to them.
For the person that really wants to learn about what deloads are and how to do them properly, I think that this episode has a lot of value. If that's not your bag, we got a ton of other content on the channel. Yeah. Some of it is a lot more lighthearted. Just go watch our last 2 podcast episodes where we didn't even touch fitness.
I don't think our last podcast episode would qualify.
That was probably not lighthearted. Yeah, that one was a little bit sad.
But it wasn't about fitness.
It wasn't about fitness. That's true. All right. Wow, we went on for an hour.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Wow.
Good conversation today. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah.
Follow us both on Instagram.
I post now.
Sarah posts now. Please join our Discord. My brother joined the Discord yesterday and said, what do we do here? And I said, we don't do anything yet, but we're working on it. I would love to just build a community of people that want to talk about their day, that want to talk about training, that want to talk about anything. We got a bunch of different channels in there. You can come in, ask questions. Specifically, I'm always on there trying to answer whatever questions are on there. We're going to do another Q&A probably late August, early September. So join up so you can be a part of that. Subscribe to the channel. Anything else we got to plug? I think that's it. We're going to do a protein bar taste test very soon.
Yes,
so that'll be
next week.
Probably next week. So be on the lookout for that. That should be a fun podcast
that'll
episode.
Be really something.
And there's a bunch of good, long form content on the channel. I'm still making long form videos, even though the algorithm is telling me that short form is the way. I will not let long form content die.
Yeah.
I will keep doing it until I'm dead in the grave.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm off my soapbox now. I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye.